Howdy neighbors. Today's project is to try and put a new upgrade to my old table saw. So I've got a 30-year-old table saw here. It's an old Craftsman contractor saw. I took the legs off and built that little cabinet. I think they were a little ahead of their time because 30 years ago this fence, you keep it waxed up and it works really well. But what I really like about it is it clamps on the rear rail. I've been wanting to upgrade from this contractor saw up to a cabinet saw, and I was looking at the Laguna Fusion F2, I think it is. Nice saw. I didn't like how the fence only attached or clamped onto the front rail. I think this old style, well, old for this saw, fence clamping system kind of spoiled me. I like that secure front and rail clamping system. So then I stumbled across the Harvey saw. I really didn't feel like investing $3,000 into a nice cabinet saw. Being in my mid-60s, I would never get a return on that investment. But then I found out that you can get the Big Eye fence system that normally comes on the Harvey saw as an add-on to your current model saw. Now, my particular saw, being so old, was not included in their list of compatible saws. But after I did some researching and measuring, I believe I can make it work. Here's a suggestion for Harvey packaging. They have these little brackets to go on the outfeed table, attaching the rear fence rail to your outfeed push-off table. They come well packed in this styrofoam unit here, but the 4 set screws, 2 per bracket, are hidden in here somewhere, and when you go to pull this out, that little set screw launches, and one of them fell into the abyss of my shop known as the floor. I haven't found it yet. I'm not too worried about it. Either I've got another one, I don't know if they're quarter 20, but if I can replace it, I will. I don't think I'm going to be using these anyway. I'll talk about my push-off table here in a little bit, but maybe if they could package them already threaded in, I'd probably loosen during shipment, or maybe a separate bag or something. I don't know, but just a little tip: watch out for those little screws when you take it out of the packing. This thing is surprisingly heavy. I understand now why they have the roller bearings on it, because it'd take 2 men and a dog to try to slide that thing back and forth without roller bearings. A little bit about my saw here. The table itself is 20 inches wide. I've got a left wing that's 12 inches and a right wing that's 12 inches. It gives me a total of 44 inches of total saw top surface. As far as front to back measurements, it's a standard 27 inches, so I lucked out on that. I don't know, I'm not left-handed, but from standing in front of the saw's perspective, I've always worked with my fence left of the blade. I know everybody, the common is to the right, and I don't know why. I must have started that way years ago with the fence on the left side of the blade and kept with it. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is adjust my rails over to the left like I was saying earlier. You can see the one bolt right here and another bolt right there for the rear rail, and there's another bolt in the center. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 5 possible bolts in there. But originally there was only 3 per rail, wing, center table, and left wing. But I went ahead, and since they sent so many of those bolts, I went ahead and put 2 on the actual table instead of just the one in the middle. So I've got 4 bolts on both the rear and the front rail. So I'm going to just slide the rails over until they're flush with the right wing. I know everybody in the normal world would slide the rail over until it's flush with the left wing, but I'm kind of odd that way. So just a matter of loosening them up and sliding the rail. So I've got my front and back rails dry fitted. They're still kind of loose. I've already moved the high-low fence from the left side to the right side. What I need to do is add that little extension pipe and bring this clamp over to the rail for my 680 millimeter, 90, whatever the 27 inches. You got to loosen these 4 screws here, and next size smaller wrench, these four set screws right here as well. Sorry about that. Once you get that loose, it just slides right up. You want to line this up here and then re-tighten those set screws. Okay, here's a little pointer for you. Before you tighten those snug those 8 set screws down back to torque, this Teflon guide is supposed to ride in the groove of this track. So I mistakenly pulled mine all the way back. So if you leave those loose, that'll allow you to tap that until that Teflon guide is riding in that track. From this point, in fact, there's a little bit of play there. I'm going to try to center that as best as I can. That looks pretty good right there. Imagine it has to be up against this edge here, because when this clamps in, it's going to pinch right there, I would assume. So from that position there, I'll just snug that down with the Allen wrenches, take the fence back off the rails, and then go ahead and torque them down proper. Okay, my saw top front to back is about 686 millimeters, but as you can see, I'm about 688. Again, that allows that Teflon pad to kind of crowd this edge of my channel rather than that edge, because as I go to adjust this, and when you torque down your fence, it'll be pinching this area right here, not so much that area back there. All right, now, oh man, is that smooth. Nelly. So move my high-low fence, and quite a bit of an improvement. I do have a little bit of a gap between the bottom of the high-low fence and my tabletop. So next I'm going to put this connecting rod between the front and rear rails. As you can see, if you slide the fence out here without an extension wing and you clamp that down, it's going to pinch those two rails together. So this rod is going to prevent that from happening. All right, I started to put that connecting rod on the rails and that nut won't fit. So the thing is, you got to read the instructions. Earlier, a couple of those concentric bolts didn't have nuts and I thought they were missing or short, but no, you actually screw it into the end of these larger nuts and then the square T-head will then fit nicely into the rail there. Okay, well, I was hoping to do the upgrade on the old saw, and I got everything tightened down and somewhat adjusted. New dress on an old whore. It is freaking awesome. I'm gonna love this thing. Two more things I want to do. I'm gonna fill this in with a table extension. I can use the T-slots here. I've got some extra bolts for attaching that to the rails. I'm thinking of switching over to metric. So one of the things that I did have to do on these is switched them around. Now this is going to appear to be upside down, but you know, I can certainly see 13 inches just as easy as if it's right side up. I read tape measures upside down all the time anyway. So again, another table extension to fill this in, give that a little more support. And I've got a squirrel cage fan I'm going to put right there on that half of the cabinet. I'm going to take this top, cut that area out. I'm going to exhaust the squirrel cage fan out that side wall there, and probably do a little rearrangement in my shop. I'll take my push-off table and table saw and switch them around so my saw will be toward the overhead door and my push-off table will be over here closer to my workbench area. That way I will have a lot more room. I've got an easy, there's the squirrel cage fan. That'll be the exhaust. Then it'll draw air, hopefully all the sawdust from the table saw on the two intake sides. But anyway, I've got plenty of room here for an 8-foot sheet of plywood. Actually be easier if I just back into the driveway here, take it off the back of the truck and head right toward the saw. So very pleased with the Harvey Big Eye rip fence. Like I said, I only had to do one little minor modification, and that was for the original switch. My old front rail had a T-slot high and a T-slot low, and instead of screws, there were just a couple of square nuts that went into that lower slot. This slot here, a 1/4 inch bolt head will fit right in there. So I just drilled a couple 1/4 inch holes, put a couple bolts and secured it down, and coming hot. Solid as Sears.